Lots of people assume that because I work every day to help people get control of anxiety, surely I must be completely anxiety-free. Well, the thing is, anxiety-free is a myth. In this video, I'm going to explain why by giving you an insight into the anxiety I experienced when I gave my TED Talk. Hi, I'm Tim Box. I'm a mind coach, and for more than a decade now, I've been helping people overcome all sorts of emotional and psychological issues, and in particular, helping people to get control of their anxiety levels. This video is taken from the interview I gave recently to Mihai and Simona from the Self-Love Truth Summit. This was an online conference I was asked to speak at, and I'll link to the whole event in the description below. In our discussion, Mihai referenced my book, Clear Your Head, and kind of challenged me to explain how we actually live life without anxiety getting in the way. The answer I gave involved a slightly deeper dive into the details of my own anxieties, referencing my TED Talk, and I think this answer might surprise you.
Yes, it's our pleasure to have you here, and thank you for all your support. Tim, how can we enjoy life without anxiety getting in our way?
Okay, that's a big subject, because the thing is, right, anxiety, it's one of those things that it's an emotion. Yeah. And I think a lot of the time we confuse anxiety as a disorder or a condition or an illness. You know, when we reference anxiety, we're generally talking about a feeling that we're not happy with. And we're also probably referencing something that we feel is going wrong with us if we get excessively anxious. Yeah. But it's important to remember that anxiety is a natural human emotion. And every single one of our emotions is designed to steer us ultimately towards some degree of happiness. So even when we feel anxiety, which can be a very uncomfortable feeling, it's designed to steer us in the right direction. So just a brief rundown of emotions and what they're for. Fear is to steer us away from the perceived danger. Anger is to, right the wrong that has been done to us. And anxiety is no different in terms that it has a purpose. For me, anxiety's purpose is to put our conscious attention on the thing that's important. Yeah, from moment to moment, whatever that is. So we might be feeling anxious about paying the bills at the end of the month or something like that, because our mind is saying, oh, we need to take action and do what's necessary to earn the money to pay the bills. Or we might be feeling anxious about heading into a social situation, whether we're going to be accepted in that situation. And again, the anxiety we feel is either encouraging us to do our best, prepare for it, look our best, give our best impression of ourselves, or maybe it's even encouraging us to say, maybe we shouldn't do that because we don't feel good enough to hold our own in those circumstances. Yeah. And as you can probably tell, anxiety will often tell us things that don't seem correct, or they seem quite self-deprecating, but they're only designed to protect us from the negative experience. Okay. So the way we actually get towards a point where it's not about being free of anxiety. It's about having anxiety that we feel is appropriate for the given situation. So, for example, we made an appointment to do this call today where I'm going to talk about what I do. So I want to give a good account of myself. So there was some degree of anxiety before coming on the call. Oh, I hope I do well. I hope people like my message. I hope my face looks good on the screen, all that sort of stuff. Yeah. And like before I went out for my TED Talk, the first line of my TED Talk is, I'm Tim Box and I feel anxious. And I knew I would feel anxious because it'd be weird if I didn't, wouldn't it? To go out in front of 300 people, videoed for all of the internet to see. It would be weird if I wasn't having some degree of anxiety about that process. But even though I have a history back in the past of having quite strong social anxiety, when I felt, I was backstage there and I was pacing up and down, going over my talk in my head, making sure I didn't forget it, I wasn't distracting myself by thinking, and there's my anxiety flaring up again. There's that problem that I used to have now hitting me in the face, and rearing its ugly head and kind of tackling me to the ground or whatever, I was like, yeah, this is appropriate. This is okay that I feel anxious because I understand that I'm doing something I care about. Yeah. And that's what anxiety is for. Focus on the thing that's important. And after all, at that moment, it was the most important thing to be doing. And like at this moment, the most important thing for me is to deliver my message with clarity to the point where people get something from this discussion that we're having. So there's going to be some degree of, right, I need to focus on this. The problem comes when we start to interpret any feelings of anxiety as some degree of malfunction or disorder or some kind of anxiety illness that we now have, because that just gives us an extra thing to feel anxious about. Yeah. So whenever we feel anxious, instead of feeling like, you know, that 1 or 2 out of 10 level that we normally feel, as soon as we feel it, we're like, oh no, there's my anxiety problem again. And we get anxious about anxiety, and that takes it to those extreme levels straight away. We start to panic about the fact we're feeling anxious. Yeah. So this is why a lot of people that suffer high anxiety will tell you, even though anxiety should be a sliding scale, you know, from 0 to 10, they're like, no, it feels like a switch. It goes from 0 to 10 straight away. There's no in between bit, because as soon as we feel a modicum of anxiety, a bit of our mind says, oh, panic. And it goes to the extremes. Yeah. So when I talk about how to live your life without anxiety getting in the way, you notice I don't talk about being free of anxiety. It's about accepting that, yeah, in some situations I'll feel anxious. In some situations, I'll feel excessively anxious that seems inappropriate for the current situation. But that's okay as well, because we're all going to do that as human beings. You know, the example would be any physical reaction I have. So if my heart starts to beat faster, when all I'm doing is talking to somebody on a screen, giving a presentation, yeah, I know that even though I can understand why that's happening, it is technically speaking an inappropriate response, because the heart racing, the muscles tightening up and the breathing quickening is our fight or flight response kicking in. Yeah, so back in the day when we were evolving, something important was normally defend yourself against the attacker, or run and kill that animal so you can eat tonight, and things like that. It was very much fight or flight. Yeah. It was physical action. Now I know the best version of me to deliver my message to you guys is probably the calm, clear-headed, relaxed version of me, not the version whose heart is racing, body trying to get itself into action, you know? So I recognized that when I walked out onto the TEDx stage, my heart beating fast was, technically speaking, inappropriate. I'm not about to run around the room and punch people. Hopefully that wasn't the content of my talk anyway, you know, but I know I'm doing something important. So I kind of accept it as, yeah, that's okay. Even though it's inappropriately high in terms of the response level, I get it, don't I? Because that's what my body's going to do, you know? So yeah, how do we live our life without anxiety getting in the way? We accept that it's perfectly okay to feel anxious. Yeah. Even when we feel like that's a bit more than I would ideally like to feel. Because if we can accept it, we stop feeling anxious about the prospect of feeling anxious. Yeah, and we stop exacerbating and amplifying the response to something that then becomes unhelpful.
I really hope this video has been of help. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. I'm going to link to the full Self-Love Truth Summit in the description, as you can still access hours of content from some amazing speakers. Don't forget to hit the like button, share this video with others, and before you go, why not subscribe to the channel for more regular anxiety advice? If you have a specific anxiety related question you want answered, then you can join me live on this channel every Friday evening at 6 p.m. London time when I do a live anxiety Q&A. You can also now become a member of this channel and get access to hours of extra content and exclusive member-only live sessions. Just click the join button on the main page. But that's it for now. I'm Tim Box. Always remember to be kind to your mind, and I'll see you next time.